Okay guys, so today I'm going to talk about mountain bike race essentials. These are things that you are going to need for, in my opinion, every mountain bike race, no matter what the kind. Some of them are subject to personal preference, but I think this is fairly minimal. So, basically, all this stuff down here, gloves and helmet and glasses excluded, should be able to fit into a seat wedge bag. This one is actually rather large, and I run 29er tires, so I'm probably going to get a smaller one. So basically, let me just show you what I bring in that pack. Basically every time I ride, I just leave it on my bike. So number one, we have a tire. I'm sorry, not a tire, a tube. Arguably the most important thing. But this also comes with a preference between bringing a tire, a patch kit, or both. If you want to be super prepared, bring both. I prefer a tire because the way I see it is in a race, if you get a flat, you want to be as fast as possible in fixing that flat. Patching is not fast because you have to find the puncture, you have to rough up the area, you have to glue the patch on, or even with a stick patch, you run the risk of it coming off. So I just prefer going safe, and this is even a good option if you run tubeless, because you can always fix a tubeless tire by putting a tube in it. So we have that. Next thing is going to be tire levers, very important. They usually come in sets of 3, but 2 I found to do the job, so I used 2. These are Park Tool plastic levers, light. They haven't snapped on me yet. Not a big fan of metal ones because they clank around and they're just too heavy. Here, this is where preference comes in. This is actually a CO2 pump head sort of thing. I'm missing a CO2 cartridge, obviously, but you screw it in all the way there, and then as you turn it to the left a little bit, it'll let out air. If some people prefer carrying a pump, either on their frame or in a backpack, I prefer that. I used to use a pump. These are great because they're fast. You know, you might want to bring a pump on a training ride just because you don't want to use up all your CO2 cartridges, but for like $10 you can get this, not less than $10, like $8 or $9. You can get this thing, which in my opinion is awesome. It's tiny. They also make ones that have a manual lever, so you screw in the cartridge and you pull the lever to release air. I find this to be just fine. So you need this, and obviously the cartridge to operate that, or else it's useless. Next thing, I don't really bring a lot of parts for my bike, but this is one part that I do, and this is, most bikes come with a spare derailleur hanger with the screws to hold it in. In case you don't know what that is, I will show you on my trainer bike. It is, you probably know, the derailleur is this thing here that moves the chain to different gears. The hanger, I don't know if you can see it, is a little piece that holds that to the frame. It's meant to break pretty easily, basically, so if it gets bent, it doesn't snap your derailleur, because a hanger is a $1.50 part, your derailleur is a $70 part, so you'd rather have the hanger break. I've snapped my hanger 2 or 3 times over my 1 or 2 years of riding. Anything can do it. That's why I bring this. I mean, the first time I was doing a climb and a stick got caught in my wheel, and somehow it essentially wrapped my derailleur in my spokes and snapped the hanger. And at that point I didn't have one, but luckily a nice guy on the trail was able to somehow rig up my bike with a zip tie and turn it into a single speed so I could get back home. So that, I think, is, if you're going to take one part with you, weighs almost nothing, this would be the part to take. So lastly, when it comes to terms of things that you're going to put in there, you have a multi-tool. This you can, there's a lot of preference. This is sort of, not overkill, but this covers all the bases. This one has a lot of different, it's got the screwdrivers, it's got the Allen key, it's got the hex wrenches. It's also got a chain breaker, which you don't necessarily need, but I just carry this one some people would probably say it's a little bit heavy, but I don't mind, and it fits well in my pack. This covers basically any repair I would have to make, or let me phrase that, any repair that I could make on the trail. You know, it's possible that something happens that you can't repair. You snap very unlikely, but you know, you could screw up your rim. You might go over a drop and, you know, bend your rim in some way that you can't ride. But if that happens, you're not really worried about repairing. You're sort of out of the race. So now I will show you how to fit all that in one of these packs. At first, I thought this was going to be a little bit small, but it turned out being a little bit big. Now, the key to fitting everything in here is rolling up your tube really tightly. So roll it up nice and tightly. It's better if you have a cap on the valve. I lost it, just so the valve doesn't get screwed up. So you're just going to put that in sideways so you have the flat sides touching the edges. And in this specific one, I think this is a Topeak Aero Wedge Large, if I'm right. The way I like to do it is I take the tire levers, I separate them, and I do this a different way than most people, but basically I stick the tire lever, I'll show you in a second, up against the top wall of the pack. Hold on. Almost got it. There we go. So you can see I have it wedged between the tube and the top. I like that because if you put it on the side, you get bulges, and it's not a big deal. It's just, I don't know, I like things to be symmetrical. So, next you have your hanger, whatever, pretty small piece that I can just, there's a little side pocket over there. Fit that in, obviously, pretty easily. And lastly, well, not lastly, we have the multi-tool, which for me fits perfectly in there. And then we have the CO2 head, which can also go in there, or basically wherever you want to put it. I'm just going to put it in with my hanger. So, I mean, and you can see I still have extra room in there. I could fit, if I really wanted, I could fit a second tube or a patch kit. As I said, some people like to carry both. But I don't. I'm just good carrying a tube. So I think I'm going to go for something a little bit smaller, but then this attaches under the seat, either through a clip or through straps. I really like this one because it's got the clip, so you can slide it out, take it out pretty easily when you like. So that's how you want to get that in there. Some people use a Camelback or an Osprey, essentially a hydration pack, and I used to use that, but over the off season I've been training with water bottle, because what I find happens is the second you take your backpack off and you do a ride, you never want to wear it again. So I started using this, and I use water bottles instead of the hydration reservoir. That's a great choice. I especially think for beginners, because a lot of the time when you're a beginner, you're not comfortable taking one hand off the bars while doing a race. But I find that most races, I shouldn't say it, not most races, but all the races I did last year had places where I would have been able to, you know, places where it wasn't too technical, where I would have been able to take out a water bottle and take a sip without, you know, getting thrown off my bike. So the next things I have here are sort of basic things, but these are things that I would say you need when you ride. And these three things are helmet, glasses, and a glove. And gloves, not a glove. These are actually my winter gloves, so you'll probably be riding in something thinner than this. I have some Fox Digits that I usually wear. These are, you know, thick, waterproof Under Armour gloves that I actually wear for the winter. Gloves are really important for several reasons. Number one, you're going to get a lot of calluses on your hand if you don't wear them. It can be sort of painful. Number two, if you fall, you'd rather not scrape up your palms. It hurts like hell. So, gloves, really important. Helmet, for obvious reasons. You want something that's going to protect your head, because you don't want to break your head open. That's pretty self-explanatory. So, you got that. And then glasses, I think, are overlooked by a lot of people, but I think they're really, really important. These are the, I don't remember actually what these are called. They're made by Smith, but I cannot remember what they're called. Smith Pivlock V2, that's what they're called. I'm probably going to do a review on these separately because these are really awesome. I got a good deal on them. They're like $200 something, but I got them for much cheaper. And I'm actually going to do a review on that later. Probably see me in the lens. But basically, glasses are really important, in my opinion, mainly so debris doesn't get in your eyes. I have had that happen several times before I wore glasses. I remember I was coming down a hill behind my friend, and the funny thing is that it was actually an asphalt hill at the end of our ride when we came out of the trail, and he kicked up a rock like right into my eye, and it hurt a lot. So, that's one reason. Also, sun protection, that's another thing. I find that it's not a huge deal in mountain biking. I usually tend to go with a lighter tinted lens. I wouldn't use this, like, what they call a blackout lens, just because it would get too dark when I'm in the woods, because, some of the sun's already blocked out. So I would use either a clear or, like, a rose-colored lens. So that's really important. And I think glasses, for a cyclist, I think it's worth spending a little bit more than you might usually. It depends how much you value sunglasses, but I would plan, if you want a really nice pair, spend anywhere from $50 to $200. I know that's a big range. On a good pair that has interchangeable lenses, I would really recommend that, because you don't want to be stuck with blackout lenses in the woods. Not very helpful. And then there are going to be some other obvious things. You want water. I didn't bring a water bottle because I think you've all seen a water bottle. Water's really important, obviously. Always want to stay hydrated. They say if you feel thirsty, it's too late, so be drinking. But, some people like the reservoir, which is great too. I just found that bottles work for me fine. And also, you might have your shoes that you wear. I have SPD pedals, so I run my Giro Privateer or whatever they are. I don't really remember the model. But so those are really all in my opinion, the race essentials. These are the bare bones minimal amount of things that you should be taking really every time you ride. I bring all this stuff. That's what's great about the wedge pack, is you don't have to remember a bag or anything. Just keep that on your back of your bike. Just remember to fill up a water bottle before you leave. And grab all your stuff and get out and ride. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is my new channel. I'm trying to, not get it publicity, but I'm trying to promote it. So thanks for watching.